All right, what's happening, my dudes? My name is Kevin Duty, and today we are coming to you from the folks' house. I don't have my typical background or my typical mic that I use, but I had to get out of the house because all of my housemates have COVID at the moment. They're all fine, they're having mild symptoms, but I figured I would take the opportunity to come over to my folks' house to kind of make it into a little vacation for a couple days. So we're looking at the Kubey Momentum today, and I could have waited till I got home to do this review, but I had to get it out there because this knife is really a special thing, I think. And it's a relatively new release, so I wanted to get this out there and show you guys just how awesome this knife is. So it's the Kubey Momentum. It's a pretty full-size knife. We'll do some size comparisons here in a minute, but first let's get the specs out of the way. We have a blade length of 3.43 inches. We have an overall length of 7.9 inches, so it's a full-size knife, definitely. Blade thickness of 0.12 inches, so it's a slicer. Blade material is D2. We have a very nice drop point / harpoon style blade. It's definitely more of a drop point than a harpoon style, but since we have this cut out here, it makes me think of a harpoon style blade. It doesn't say harpoon style on their website, but you know, I'm just adding that myself because that's what it reminds me of. And then we have a weight of 4.48 ounces. So it's it's full size, pretty heavy knife, but I like that. I like it. It feels hefty in the hand. It feels solid, and I really like the weight and the size of this knife. So those are the specs. Now let's talk about why I love this knife so much. First of all, it's a front flipper, and I know not all of you guys are front flipper fans, but let me tell you, this knife, if you're looking to try out a front flipper for the first time, or maybe, you know, if you're looking for one that is very easy to front flip and creates a very easy learning curve for you, this is the knife for you. The reason for that is the way this scale is shaped, the way the pivot is in relation to the front flipper, and you'll see that you're able to even slow roll it all the way out. A lot of front flippers, you kind of get to here, and then this part of the tang disappears, so the rest of the way you're just flicking it. But since this whole area is kind of cut out and gone, you have control the whole way. See what I mean? If we can look at my other Kubey knife, which is also a front flipper, you're bringing it around, and then right there, it's gone. I mean, you can kind of get it, but it's nowhere near as easy to slow roll out as the Momentum. And we'll compare it to that knife again in a minute. This thing, guys, is ridiculously smooth. I mean, it's dropped shut. It drops shut, without a doubt. Fantastic action right out of the box. You can do all the front flipper kind of tricks, the side finger open, over the top even. Very easy to do all of those. And the thumb studs are placed in a very good location. You get all the leverage you need to just make this baby fly out. Very easy to reverse flick as well. And guys, the detent is tuned so well that there is no follow through, if you know what I mean. When you go to activate the thumb studs, as soon as you break that detent, it's flying open. There's no follow through with your finger. And what I mean by that is let's take the Benchmade Mini Adamas, for example, which does not have a very strong detent. When I break the detent, I have to follow it through with my thumb a little bit past it to get it to fly out all the way. I'm breaking the detent and my thumb is still on the thumb stud all the way up to about here to get it to come out all the way. There's no follow through with the Kubey momentum. You break that detent and it's flying open. Very easy on the reverse flick. All you do, barely break that detent and it's out. It flies open. I love that about this knife. This knife is so much fun to mess around with. And it's by far one of the smoothest knives I own. Even some of my more premium knives do not fall shut like this. I mean, it's incredible. I got this knife, guys, on sale at White Mountain Knives for 38 bucks. Insane. The most I've seen them for is 50, which even still I think is a fair price for this knife, for what you're getting. It's just really, really solid, really, really good action. Great ergonomics. You know, you have a pretty neutral handle, so it's very comfortable. You have this harpoon notch to brace your thumb against as you're cutting. Nice sharpening choil. And if you can tell, the way that the blade is in relation to the handle, it's leaning forward a bit this way. So when you're going to cut material, the material is getting trapped right in this portion of the blade, and it just slices so easy. So easy. Really, really like this knife. Before we go any further, let's do some size comparisons. Let's check it up, check it against my other Kubey, the KU331. It's also a front flipper. About a 1/4 inch bigger than the KU331. Let's put it up against some Spyderco's. Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Manix 2. A little bit smaller than both, but you know, still definitely a full-size knife. The Manix 2 and PM2 are large knives. How about up against the Rat Pack? The old dirty Rat Pack. The Rat 1 and the Rat Model 2. A little bit smaller than the Model 1. A little bit bigger than the Rat 1. And lastly, let's put them up against some Benchmade Bug Out and the Benchmade Mini Adamas. Bigger than both. Bigger than both. Guys, I really recommend this knife. Please, please get it. It's designed by a guy named Sarif Manganas. Hopefully I'm saying that right. There's his name there and his little logo. I like that logo. I don't mind that billboarding on the blade at all. I think it kind of adds a little, I don't know, little cool factor to it. The finish on the blade, when you wipe it off, is very nice. It's kind of I can't tell if it's a light stonewashing or maybe a bead blasting, but it's pretty subtle. It's definitely not a satin finish, which I like. It's kind of got a little bit of a cloudy look to it. I like this this long swedge that runs all the way down. I think that looks great. I love the flat portions of the blade. Really like the sharpening choil. You know, the end of the blade is way far away from the plunge grind. Really like this knife. The clip is, it's a typical Kubey clip. I don't really like this kind of a, you know, flare up at the end. But it goes in and out of the pocket just fine. It's not inset, but we have some flat-headed screws, so they're not poking up over the base of the clip there, so that's fine. Yeah, not an amazing clip, but it works just fine. I think I already mentioned it, but ergonomically, this knife is great. It just feels so good to cut with. But I mean, I think the shining you know, aspect of this knife really is the action. And the action, guys, is just, it's crazy. It's crazy. I've not experienced action like this at this price point ever. It's running on bearings, but I own a lot of knives on bearings, and for some reason they're just not this smooth. So I'm not really sure how they're achieving that smoothness. You know, if it has bearings just like a lot of my other knives do, what makes this one so much smoother? Might have to do with the tolerances involved. You know, they might be using very, very tight tolerances, so there's not any play anywhere in the knife. That might have something to do with it. It could just be the way that the blade is in relation to the pivot. You know, in the closed position, you know, most of the blade weight is in front of the pivot, and when it's open, most of it is behind the pivot. So when you go to close it, the knife just naturally wants to fall back in that position in front of the pivot. That might have something to do with it, but whatever it is, guys, it's great. I really recommend this knife, even at the full $50 price point. I think this knife is a really, really good buy. And look around and see if you can find it on sale. I just looked right before this review, and it is on sale at White Mountain Knives for $42, I think, or $40, which is not quite as cheap as I got it at $38, but still, $40 is really, really good. I mean, this knife is just, it's so fun. Cool. All right, well, that's the Kubey Momentum, guys. Go pick it up. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. And thanks for watching. What I meant to say is like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for me so that I can get to 100 subscribers. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Adios.